My name is Julie Smith, and it's my honor and privilege to welcome you to City Hall today. Appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come out and learn about the progress and the process of the repaving of 20th Street. And I keep telling folks, we're so excited about the repaving of 20th Street. So be careful what you wish for. You may get it. So, but I do know that we are in excellent hands. We have a very competent and able contractor who's going to work with us. Pete Krasinski, who is over ESG, which handles the city's public works department, is going to give you an overview. This is your time to ask any question, make any comment, any input. There's no silly questions, there's no wrong questions. So I know this is going to impact each of you, whether it's your home or your business. It's important to know what's happening and how things will be happening. I'd like to also recognize Hunter Walker. Hunter is our interim city manager and is doing a wonderful job for us. We have Councilman Jack Polk and Councilman Frank Sales, and probably some of our other council will be walking in during the process. So come on in, have a seat, make yourself at home, and at this point in time, I'll turn it over to Pete. He will get things going.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And on behalf of the Mayor and Council on City of Tifton, ESG is proud to be here with you to talk about a project that has been long-standing from what I've been told. 20th Street has been bumpy for a long time, and that's the way it happens. It's a 4-lane road, very, very difficult to deal with when you talk about traffic and hospital and schools and new businesses and residents over a course of time. That's one of the challenges that local government usually has to take on a project of this magnitude. So we were tasked to do that about 5 months ago, looking at it, studying it, and I will tell you, as citizens, SPLOST money was available for this project, and that's what the heart of SPLOST money usually goes to, about paving, resurfacing, and doing smart things within the community. So when this project, just the resurfacing, went out to bid, we were really disheartened. We had 2 bids come back, and they were over $2.3 million, just to resurface the road. And at that particular point, we really didn't know where to turn, and we looked into the state for what's called a statewide contract. And these are projects that go on all over the state, but local governments are able to look at bids, look at cost control, and look at project management as a whole to look at how to make things more efficient, and that's what we did. But as the mayor alluded to, this is just an informational setting tonight to talk about the project, the portions of 20th Street that we were going to start with and where we'll end up. We'll go over some details about the funding, and then in addition to the resurfacing, one of the items that ESG recommended is to take a look underneath the pavement, because there's nothing worse than the local government paving a road, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, we have to come back and tear it up and fix a waterway. That's very frustrating. So we studied it, we looked at it, and come to find out in a section of 20th Street from the hospital, probably all the way up to TIF, there is some small galvanized water lines that have been installed, I'm guessing pretty close to before the 60s. That's a pretty good guess. So old infrastructure, galvanized pipe, with all the vibration, with all the truck traffic, and that age, that's not a good recipe. So we have made a presentation to the mayor and council that said how we're going to have to do this smarter. There's additional SPLOST money in the water fund to do this, and we recommend studying and replacing the water line along 20th Street before we do the resurfacing. They too thought it was a good idea, and with our construction firm that we're going to use, along came the project for water and resurfacing of 20th Street area. So this is going to be a very big enhancement. Again, I mentioned the statewide contract convenience clause. This enables local government to streamline and become more efficient as we continue on to do a large-scale project such as this. I have the map, which my pointer doesn't work, but on the table afterwards, I'd be glad to show you. We have listed all the residents that live along 20th Street. But this project will start at Old Wasilla and 20th Street. That's where it will begin. We will proceed along 20th Street past the hospital towards Tift. And what we'll be doing is replacing the old water line, which is on the south side of the center line. The first part of the project will include replacing that with an 8-inch line. In order to do that, we'll be going up the left side of 20th Street, and we'll have to remove the sidewalks. And the reason for that is so we don't have to dig a hole in the middle of 20th Street before we pave. Right? If we get it off the right of way, if there's a problem, or if we have to fix a connection afterwards, the only thing we have to do is fix a portion of the sidewalk. We don't have to dig up the asphalt with new pavement. So that's why we have done this. 8-inch line is obviously going to give a lot better water feed to the area, to the hospital, to the residents, and for fire protection. We're going to replace hydrants along the 20th Street corridor, so that will also enhance that as well. Some of the things that I wanted to make note of today, the construction schedule. Astra, which I'll go ahead and introduce now. Scott Loveless from Astra will be the project manager here in Tifton. And then Fred Samato will be the superintendent on site. So these two gentlemen are heavily experienced in construction, understand infrastructure, understand paving, and understand engineering from that regard. And then part of staff, we've got Trey Crisp, who is the project manager for ESG here. John Shepard, who's our engineer on staff, and then Adam Cobb, who handles utilities as the utility manager for ESG. So together with these two gentlemen and ESG staff, we are part of the city of Tifton who are going to make this project happen. The construction schedule is going to be very, very tight as far as the timeline. I can't give you any specifics tonight, but I will tell you, we'll hope to start within 3 to 4 weeks. And I'm going to talk about easements in just a minute, because that'll be the last phase of this project. But the construction schedule, we will know 2 weeks in advance what is actually happening on the ground. We have been communicating with the hospital, the schools, and now you, the residents. We will be able to give you a snapshot. Hopefully we can use the newspaper to tell you what's going to be happening the next 2 weeks, where we'll be, what intersections will be affected, et cetera, et cetera. But the construction schedule itself is on a timetable of just over 6 months, and we should be wrapped up with water line installation and resurfacing both in January of 2017. Not too long. That's too long to go. All right, hours of operation. This is really key for you and what you can see during the particular construction. But hours of operation, Astra is going to use the daylight while they have it, and you'll probably most likely see workers from 7 in the morning till 7 at night, given weather, given whatever happens during the day. But while daylight savings time is still in, they're going to make the most of the hours. Even working on Saturdays is a viable option, which hopefully they can move right along and create just as less disturbance as possible. So that's what you could expect until we hit October, November timeframe. That will probably slow down some, but we'll be well into the north side of the project. All right, communication efforts. We have met with the hospital. I can tell you, thank you EMS for being here tonight. And EMS, hospital administration, water, we made sure that we're communicating all the details as we start the project from Oglesville, move past the hospital. It has to be zero flaw, meaning that there can't be any interruptions, there can't be any problems, we can't cut the water off for any reason. And as we continue to make our way up towards the school, the same will apply then, the same will apply for the VA clinic, and the same is going to apply hopefully for each and every resident, so you are not interrupted at any point. I will tell you that there's 4 lanes of traffic. Astra, again, their experience is going to play in a lane, and hopefully we'll have two lanes of traffic flowing at all times. We may have to adjust on occasion, but I will tell you there will be hopefully no interruption. And with the police department's help, with some other departments, we'll have enough flaggers, and we'll have enough traffic control to make it just as seamless as we can. The details of the construction, the sidewalks, as I mentioned, we'll be tearing out the old sidewalks, putting in the new water line. And and at that particular point, we'll be putting back the sidewalk, and that probably raises an issue. Well, what happens if you tear up my bush or you have to take out a tree? That will happen, most likely. We'll be prepared for that, and we'll communicate with that to each resident if that's the case. If you happen to receive letters from the city of Tifton regarding an easement, or if you please see a friend or talk about it at the coffee shop, if you please could help us with that easement, it's called a temporary construction easement. This says that you'll allow us to come on the property from the curb 15 foot into your yard, give or take. And what this is going to provide for us is to obviously have the equipment and to be able to take out the sidewalk, put the pipe in, and put the new sidewalk back. And this is going to be temporary. Again, if we cause damage or we cause ruts, we are absolutely going to do our best to make it look just as good as when we started. So that is a commitment from us, and there will be no issues. And I'm sure some of you have some questions about the easements. We'll talk about it in just a minute. Connection points. This will be probably one of the challenges as we come to the T's in each of the sections. We have to make sure that we're doing the correct connections, whether it's a 8-inch line or a 6-inch line, or we have to do some kind of configuration to make sure we are improving the water and that we're making the right connection. So we'll be on high alert when it comes to the connection points. I talked about the new water location and disruption of services. I mentioned about hospital, schools. There should not be any water disruptions. There may be for a couple hours, if that's the case, while we're in front of your home. But we're going to try to minimize that just as much as we can. And when the new line comes on, if we're going to do all the testing to make sure when we pass water through it, that it's bleached and it's sanitized before we change over. We will, however, leave the old line in the ground. We're going to cap it. It's going to be no good. We're going to leave it till the next project comes along in I don't know how many years, and the new line will switch over. We're going to do that in phases, and that's hopefully what will lead to the minimal disruption of the water for you as a resident. And then lastly, quality control and responsibilities. As we make cuts, as we put the water line in, it's going to be the city's responsibility for quality control that we're doing compaction. And there's nothing worse than driving down a road and you see a little, we call it a dip in the road. That's from unsettling, that's not the right compaction. We are going to make sure that when we put the new water line in, and we dig, we fill, that we're doing it to a standard and we're testing it. So when that new asphalt goes on there, it should be like just a new highway, and we don't suffer any deficiencies underneath the ground as we move on. Construction schedule, I talked about that, and the construction crews, again, they'll be mobilizing, there'll be a lot of activity, there'll be a staging yard for them as they continue up the 20th Street path. Again, this is all contingent on weather and things that we encounter, but hopefully there won't be too many obstacles of why we're doing that. Something, if you have a question as to why are we upgrading the system, and I think it's really self-explanatory. If we had the opportunity for you as residents to take the old line, old galvanized line, and replace it with an 8-inch water line that's going to be here for many, many years, that's going to improve not only the quality but the pressure. But this is a win-win for you, and I think that the mayor and council are committed to making those type of improvements within the community. Do you have a question, Mike?
Yeah, what diameter is the old galvanized line? Varies.
It varies. I'd probably say there's probably some 8-inch, there's some 6-inch,
Really?
maybe a 4-inch out of connection.
Okay.
And just like we talked about the hospital, that our water infrastructure needs to stop off because this is like open heart surgery. It's the galvanized pipe over time, it corrodes from the outside in, and it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, and before you know it, there's issues with pressure and corrosion, et cetera, et cetera. So we are doing this as an upgrade to the entire system. So that's the reason why we're doing that. Communication efforts and outreach. I've been in local government for 15 years, and I will tell you that one of the things that is hardest about our job, Hunter and myself, the hardest thing is making sure we communicate to you, the people. Elected officials do a great job about that, but as the work begins, this particular session is for you, the residents, to hear what is going on, and that we try to communicate our best to let you know what is happening in the community. Because a project of this magnitude certainly is special, but it has a lot of moving pieces, and we're going to try to keep that just as much seamless as we can. So it's really important that we communicate not only to the hospital, but the emergency services, to the school, and to you, the residents, exactly what is going on. All right, we talked about sidewalks, the easements. Are there any questions that you may have about the easements themselves? This is a really important piece of this project. We're not here to take over your property. We will not be intrusive on your property. We're just saying, can we use it for a while and do our work and make it look good, just like you've had in the past. Any questions on that?
Yes, what's the restriction of use of the property?
Restrictions, we've got to remain within that 15-foot easement. We can't exceed that. If we do, we're damaging your personal property at that point, so we've got to maintain that 15. We feel that with Astra, that we can maintain construction within that set limit, and it will not be exceeded.
I'm talking about after construction.
After construction, it's going to be maintained. It's
How about restriction on your property?
No, you cannot build on it, of course. You don't want to build on it.
Can you landscape on it?
You can, but it's if anything that's in there, if it is if there is a water leak and construction has to take place, it's buyer beware at that point.
But again, we asked that.
Do you anticipate that it will have any effect on the property values?
No, sir. I would say, I wouldn't think so at all. In fact, it'll enhance, obviously, the water pressure, if there is some local water pressure in the area. But as far as new lines, new water systems, new meters, new connections, it only can help residents at that particular point.
But it's the same as, it's no different from today. We're not taking any more than what's already.
Yeah, it's really not. It's just, the sidewalk is there currently, and we're
It's
just.
still city property, it's still city property, you're not doing anything different than, you're not taking more property.
We're going beyond the sidewalk to make sure we can fit that construction in. So right now, the right of way stops about a foot off the back of the sidewalk. We're asking for 15 feet right there beyond the sidewalk.
But once that even in, it's still the same foot tax. You're not taking more property than was already established, except temporarily.
That's right.
That's what we're trying.
I hope if you do it, see it reflected in the assessment of the value of the taxes.
So that's okay. We'll make sure we'll bring that up.
What's the green line sprayed on the sidewalks?
Those are utility markings, and right now we are doing survey work in the area. You'll see the markings. Each code or each color represents something. You'll see arrows, blue obviously for water, green is for sewer. You'll see some yellow lines, you see some orange lines, you'll see some flags, and right now we're about halfway up to TIF with our surveys. So the survey crews are hopefully will be finishing here in a couple weeks, and then once the easements when they come back, then we'll get the green light and those to proceed to Astra. So that's all the details are being worked out as we speak. But the easement, again, it's not a scary thing. Government's not trying to take you over. We're just saying, can you help us with a little piece of property? You have a brand new sidewalk in front of your house, and if there's any issues with that, we'll certainly take care of it. We'll make it look good, and hopefully there'll be no issues from that on out.
Yes, did I understand you, are you just replacing the water lines from Oldocilla to Tift Avenue on the south side and stopping there? Or are you going all the way down to the North Highway?
Going all the way down to 40.
All the way to 41? And then are you anticipating any easement rights on the north side of the road or just the south side where the lines are going in?
It's just the south side.
Just the south side.
I will add, as I did mention, on the opposite side of the road are the sewer and the natural gas lines. Both of them are in great shape, so there's no issues there.
It's a little different. Are you planning any changes on, the major intersections? We've got a couple of them there. Are you planning any changes in widening or opening the road more? All I'm asking is, if it is a beneficial thing to do, let's include it in what we're doing.
I understand. And we did look, we always look at if there's radius issues, are there any problems that we need to fix? We always try to do that. I will tell you, by the VA clinic, they're going through now the last bits of the contract and making turnaround and possibly signalization at that particular juncture. So anything that we could do with regards to budget, with businesses, et cetera, we're certainly going to look at that. But there are no changes as of now of improving it, because traffic, the lanes, the width, the turns, improvements that, like I said, we're going to be replacing the fire hydrants, so there's no more old fire hydrants along the line. So all these little things are going to help, but if we find something that we need to take out a curb and report, then we'll certainly do that.
Are you gonna add any more sidewalks, maybe 207 store?
I can't remember what the plans.
We're replacing handicap ramps at all the intersections, so there'll be existing sidewalks and ADA compliant. So there won't be any new sidewalks.
Unless we want to talk about that. All right, the review of the 20th Street map. I have the whole entire 20th Street, so if you live along the road, please come and I'll show you your house, and we can talk with the construction outfit to see if you have any questions or how traffic will go. We met with the school just a minute ago about getting the kids to school and what's going to happen to the buses and what time they let out. Hopefully, we won't have any issues with that. We're going to be on high alert with regard to construction, so we're doing that. We'd like to see that. We'd love to talk to you about that. What you can expect during construction. Obviously, there'll be a lot of lights. You'll see some flaggers. You'll see a lot of dust. You'll see, I call it progress. And hopefully it won't be too much and it won't impede on your habits. But I will tell you, once we're done, you're going to be proud of this project, and it'll be something that will be hopefully just the same for years to come. So hopefully you will not see any interruptions. And if there's going to be interruptions, we'll communicate that in the newspaper and hopefully get that out as a public outreach, especially with businesses and hospitals, just the same. Traffic, yes, sir.
You anticipate any issues, water issues with any of the side streets, like if you're a couple of houses off of 20th Street or?
We really don't.
At each intersection, we're gonna increase that size pipe as well. It's gonna be an 8 inch as well. We're gonna extend it beyond, just the actual right of way. So you're gonna get 20 to 25 feet approximately. I don't remember exactly on each side of those intersections. So if we ever do need to come back in and repair line, just immediately replace the main with an 8 inch moving forward. The folks that are right there at in the radiuses, where the meters hook up, basically, they'll already be tapped back in on an 8 inch line.
So the side houses on the side street, they're going to lose their water.
Minimal interruptions, yes.
Again, we'll keep that to just a short signal. There shouldn't be any dirty water. We're going to leave the lines, and when there's a changeover, probably will never know the differences. And then lastly, just for residents and your peace of mind, emergency vehicles and public safety, again, when we're right at hospital, when we start the project, we're going to be in contact with public safety, EMS, to make sure that the lanes are open. We're going to bore underneath a driveway or two to make sure that we don't have to tear up an entrance to the hospital. So all this will be taken into consideration, so there'll be absolutely no jeopardizing what we have to do in the way of emergency vehicles, fire or ambulances, and we'll certainly be on high alert for that. Just to give you that peace of mind.
You say you're gonna bore under driveways?
Just at the hospital, there'll be one or two that, so we don't have to tear it up, we'll go underneath.
How about residents?
We don't have any mowers set for residents.
We're gonna go back in with it'll be fixed back to what you expect it to be.
So they would get a new apron on the driveway or on the sidewalk, we'll make that look real pretty.
Well, I didn't know, gap left there
No, sir.
for
Absolutely not.
me to pay for.
Absolutely not. We'll even expect you to come out there and maybe put your initials in the corner, how about that?
I don't want any more.
I'll take any other questions, if I haven't answered, and if I left something out, guys, if I missed anything?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I came in a little late, I'm sorry, you probably already answered this, but, my boss wants to know, we on the other Espresso 41, our drive-throughs connected to 20th Street. More than half of our business comes through the drive-through area. How do y'all plan on, addressing that? As far as, we haven't even been open a year, so if this slows down our business, it can hurt us a lot.
You're right at the end, so that's right, it's
Yes,
the
sir.
station. I'll tell you, if you'll come up and look at the map, and we'll kind of gauge that for you, so you can kind of go back so you can see it from a bird's eye view, how about that?
Okay.
Hopefully, we'll be in and out, that'll be the end of the project, and, I don't see any interruptions from the drive whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna start from the hospital end or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just to give you, an overview, we should be done with the entire project by January 2017. So give or take, 6 months. And the water lines will be replaced before we do the resurface.
How deep are you placing the water mains?
Water will be, depths of the water lines.
It'll be 4 feet to the bottom of the pipe, 3.5 feet of cover.
Give or take 4 foot. That's pretty standard.
And I always had to put a lower, but no, that's fine here.
Yes, sir.
On the part of the project, does that include the research and also?
Yes.
Yes.
That's both. Because hopefully what will happen again in phases, we'll have 3 or 4 phases. As the water line project is completed, we'll say phase 1, the water line's done, everything is good, it's tested, let's switch over. I'm assuming that the paving company will be right behind them and start paving as soon as that section's done. So we 2 things going on. We can have water line installation way up on 20th and pavers down by the hospital simultaneously.
You doing all blacktop again?
Yes. Yes. Concrete aprons, sidewalk,
Yeah.
etc. Any other questions? Miss anything? It's just it's a special project. I can't tell you how much we appreciate working not only with the community, with businesses, but I can tell you that SPLOST is so important. And when you talk about a 2-mile stretch of this magnitude and this type of project for the community, it's good stuff. I mean, this is a moment to be proud of, and the elected officials are certainly committed, and they need to be proud as well for being able to do this project. And kudos to them for making it happen. Hunter, any last
And we
comments?
appreciate everybody coming. The mayor was right. We appreciate you coming. It's a big project, and we look forward to getting through it and being proud of what it's done.
I'd like to add too, if you are on Facebook, the city has a Facebook site. Go in and like that, and we can put regular, weekly, or daily even updates on what's been done that day, what's going to be done over the course of the next couple of weeks. So that's one way to get that information out. If you'd like to leave your email address, we can provide emails for you, just kind of regular updates so you know where we are in the process. And if there's any issue that happens happens as a result. We want you to be able to know who to call, who to contact if there's a problem or something comes up. So we're gonna try to make this as painless as possible for everybody. But, again, it's gonna take us all working together, and I think something we'll be extremely proud of when it's done. So, I think we've got some sign-up sheets over here. Is that what you say? That will have your email address and everything. So, do you want to go ahead and review with everybody, have everyone come out and?
Sure, if you're interested in seeing where your house is in relation to the project, we'll be glad to answer any questions for you and talk about what timetable it may be on. So, but again, thank you, and we appreciate you being here. Thank you.